sort of just make a few remarks, and then you'll hear from one of the leaders of the National Youth Forum, and then we'll take some questions. As the ambassador mentioned, I arrived last night, but this is not my first visit to Kenya. I've been here many times. When I was growing up, I visited here. I came here as a student. I came here as a business person, first as the CEO of Discovery Communications, the parent company of Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, and a litany of 100 other channels, and not surprisingly, we did a lot of our programming here. So I had the great opportunity to come and visit Kenya in my business life. After I left Discovery, I was in the process of forming an investment fund to invest in small and medium enterprises in the consumer goods and services sector. And I came to Kenya on a number of occasions, met with many business individuals and entrepreneurs as we were trying to provide them with funding. Sadly for me, the financial crisis came along, and so I had to put that plan on the shelves for a couple of years. I do hope to come back to it again because I've always been incredibly impressed with the amazing entrepreneurial spirit of the people of this country. In 2008, as you probably know, in the United States, we had an election and we had a new president and we had a new Secretary of State. And I have been asked by President Obama and Secretary Clinton to lead our government and country's efforts to strengthen and expand the relationships between the people of the United States and the people of the rest of the world, and most importantly for today's conversation, with the people of Kenya. And I can't think of a better way of doing that than having meetings with the incredible group of leaders that you see around me today. If you look at the demographic of Kenya, clearly the role that the youth of this country play in its the political and economic life of the country today and into the future is a critically important role. And so I will be meeting with a number of other youth groups while I am here. And I'm very much looking forward to it. It was just a truly great meeting when I heard what all these young leaders are doing to sort of really move this country forward in every regard, from the political life of the country to the economic life of the country. They are truly an extraordinary group of people. One of the things I want to do in my role is to strengthen the relationships between our people, as I had said, and one of the ways of doing that is having dialogues between people here and people in the United States. There's a lot of talk about building bridges. I'm very aware of the fact that bridges have two-way traffic, and based on my conversations this morning, I want to invite all of them to America, because I think that they could really a lot of their colleagues and peers in the United States could learn from all the things that they are doing, which are really, truly inspirational. This, as you all know, is a critical time in the history of Kenya with the ongoing debate, which I understand is a very active and robust debate across the country about the Constitution, which I like to think of. This is a moment in time where all Kenyans have the ability to go out and vote on a constitution which really will represent a constitution for the 21st century, for a 21st century Kenya. So it's a critical moment. I understand that it has been, the deliberation of that constitution was a very inclusive process of which all Kenyans should be proud. All all sectors of society were involved and engaged in it, and the document that it was produced is reflective of that dialogue and discussion. And I think the next few weeks leading up to the vote are going to be critically important, and you will hear from these young leaders how they expect to participate in that active dialogue. And I'm happy today to announce that we will be giving a grant to the National Youth Forum of 20 million Kenyan shillings to facilitate a series of town hall meetings, televised town hall meetings, which will continue the civic engagement. I think will make a major contribution to this very important national dialogue. So I'm delighted to be here and to be back in Kenya, and I look forward to coming back as frequently as I can, again, since it happens to be one of my favorite countries. But I am delighted to be here and to be here with all of you. And for the moment, I'd like to turn it over to Joshua, who's going to give you a few remarks on behalf of the National Youth Forum.
Thank you. I want to thank the Undersecretary and the Ambassador of the United States of America, first and foremost, for standing with the people of Kenya during one of the most difficult moments as we came from the difficult periods of 2007, 2008, and more so for standing with the majority of Kenyans in pushing for reforms. We are happy that the Undersecretary's visit today underscores the great relationship between the two countries and the people of the two countries. We want to make it clear that as the National Youth Forum, we are engaged in the reform process. The National Youth Forum is a forum that brings together thousands of youth initiatives, currently working very actively with the leadership of over 20,000 youth initiatives at the grassroots levels across the country, and as such, having almost 1.5 million young Kenyans actively involved in pushing for reforms. Particularly right now, we were engaged in getting Kenyans to register as voters. We have been engaged very actively in provision of civic education and providing platforms for debates on the reform process. But right now also, in focusing on planning on how to get out Kenyans to actually vote, and also to ensure that peace prevails. We are therefore extremely grateful that the Undersecretary announces a support to the National Youth Forum today, that would enable the National Youth Forum have televised town hall meetings across the country, which will give young people platform to actually discuss the issues on the Constitution and other facts about the process, and ensure that we take the debate away from the polarization that the political class has taken it to, and return it to issues-based, and also to ensure that we actually mobilize the country to participate in the Constitution. We are grateful to the American government. We are grateful to the American people. Thank you.